Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for hopping on. This is going to be our second part of the intro to human design. So today we're going to really focus on our types a little bit more. I kind of rushed through that towards the end just so we could really get started with our strategy and our authority. And then I really want to dive into our profiles, because once we kind of understand our type is our aura. That's just like the real basic part. There's only 5 types, so we can kind of group a lot of people together. It's interesting. A lot of charts that I've seen so far, we got a lot of generators, a lot of manifesting generators, and a couple projectors, which is very common because that is the percentage and that's how it works out of the population. So 70% of us is going to be they will be generators, manifesting generators. Then we have 11% is going to be manifestors, 13% is projectors, and then our smallest at like 1% or less is going to be our reflectors. And so just like how I'm sorry, I started a little bit before. We're having a little questions before. So I want to talk a little bit about language. So when you start diving in, and if you are anything like me, when you first pulled up your chart and you first heard a little bit about it, you probably have Googled, look on Pinterest. There's some great stuff on Pinterest, and you've probably already dove in, you found other resources and stuff like that. And so the first thing you'll see is just regular human design. There's the human design language by Ra Uru Hu. He is the original creator. He was the one that got this all downloaded. And so the best book, this is where I really got all of my basic information, really, really great resource. This is your dictionary, your Bible. You can really kind of look through here and find almost everything you will need. It's the definitive book of human design, the science of differentiation. You can buy it on Amazon. It's about $50. If you want, I do have a PDF version. Please send me a private message. I can send you the PDF version. I'll let you know you're eventually going to want to buy the book. It gets annoying scrolling all the way through. So he is the founder. And when he starts writing in this language, and I'm going to read you the difference between his language and then Karen Curry Parker. So when you can start looking, especially now, there's a lot more about quantum human design. And so quantum human design is coming from our 5D. This is where we really elevated the language. It's more speaking to the light. It's more speaking to the future. Whereas Ra in this book, he wanted to help wake people up. And so this book has a lot more language of the shadow, of the shadow kind of creeping in, knocking on the door, because all we need to do is shine some light on that shadow to release it out of the way. And so I want to talk a little bit about our types based with that language. And so I'm going to start with the generators just because it's the largest group that we have. And I kind of want to talk specifically about our sacral center. And so what makes generators? So like I said, this is talking about our aura. And so there's so much different stuff about aura. People can read colors of aura, all of this. This is an open and enveloping aura. They actually have it as red. And basic information about a generator in Ra's language. If you look at Karen Curry's language, you are the alchemist, because you are the one that has that energy, that you transform that energy. That's what alchemy is, right? Shifting and changing our energy. Whereas he has us as the generators, as we're the worker bees. We are generating this energy, which we are doing still as the alchemist, but we're also transmuting it and we're giving it to other people, which is really the true essence of alchemy. So it's an open and enveloping aura. So we naturally will attract people to us, will attract things to us. They want to be invited into our aura, into our field. And so that's why if you are a generator and you're searching for that purpose, for that passion, just start just to be yourself. That brings your aura more strongly. That's going to raise your vibration, and it's going to attract more things into your life. And so what makes a generator is having the defined sacral. And so this is the central importance of our well-being. This center controls both the cradle both cradles and generates our power of life. So this is our life force center, right? This is where all life begins, in our sacral center. And this is also what generates and keeps the energy going. So we have a pure generator, which is just the sacral defined. And then what makes a manifesting generator means that it has the connection from the sacral going up to its throat. And so while a manifesting generator is not a separate type, but it's a variation of this type. And so you are still a generator, you still follow by the waiting to respond. The one thing with the manifesting generators is the patience level is a little bit higher, because we do have the ability. Their manifesting generators are now time benders in quantum human design, because the manifesting generator, when invited to something and they've responded as a yes, their sacral said yes, they can do it, then they're going to look at something and they're going to be able to figure out, how can we transmute, how can we change this energy and make it quicker? And that's our manifesting skills. I'm a manifesting generator. Is once we're invited, once we look at things, we can look at a process. We may have 20 steps and we might be like, we can kind of get rid of 4 of them. Let's make this a little bit more efficient. And that's why there's the time bender. And so you can see already the difference in that language when you start really truly becoming who you are. You want to be more of that time bender. You want to honor that, rather than thinking about just creating and manifesting this energy, because that puts it on that very masculine side of going out and initiating, which you are not. And so, like I said, 70% of people are sacrally defined. 30, and it's pretty much split between generator, pure generator, and manifesting generator. And so those of you, so we literally are the worker bees. In Ra's eyes, he calls us the worker bees. We built the civilization, just like we built this 3D world. We were so conditioned to this industrial period, right? Sitting in schools 8 hours a day, being able to ready to listen, to learn, so we could build this world that we have it now. And so the generators were the ones that did that. We have the energy. That's why other people are projectors, are administrators, are manifestors who can initiate, get it done, but don't have that energy to create. They are coming after us. They're looking for us. They need that powerhouse. They need us. And so when you can start to understand that your energy, one, we all have magnetic monopoles, no matter what, we are all attracting things to us. But when you start to understand as a generator that your energy is enticing, people want you, people already want you. So to learn to let go of that other stuff and to truly be who you are. And I will say that I have really embraced this the past 3 weeks since I've joined UA, and it is been phenomenal. You don't understand. I've been trying to get a little group together just like this, and build it off of Facebook or off of Instagram, just off of that natural, and just being able to join a community of people who are already thinking about this, and have 14 people join and 6 people on the call live now is such a blessing to me. And it warms my heart. And that is showing me that I'm on my right path, right? That's raising my vibration. That is okay, I'm doing the right join. All I needed to do is join UA and share, because then my profile, that 1-3 profile, is to go out, experience, and share with you. And so we'll talk about that after. And so as we start to understand that anxiousness, that impatience, we can let it go away. And so generators are born to work, but they have to love what they do, because you need to completely exhaust yourself so that you can go to sleep, rest up, get up, and do it again. And so you're designed to respond through your sacral center, unless you have your solar plexus defined. Now, if anybody has the solar plexus defined, that automatically takes precedence. That is going to be your authority. And then you'll have your sacral as your backup. And I like to say, if you have your solar plexus defined and your sacral defined, your sacral is really what you can ask yourself as emotional beings. Because if your sacrals or your solar plexus is defined, you work with your emotions. You really work with that. And so, how can we make sure that we ask yes and no questions to our emotions? Is this my emotion? Am I feeling this right? And then we can come back to the gut. So our gut is yes and no's. uh-huhs, uh-uhs, very innate sounds. Maybe as a child, you were told to use your words. Right here is one of our most basic conditionings. We were told right away to squash out our intuition. That is our intuition. That is our gut speaking to us. And so until when we start connecting our brain to use the word, then we start getting the brain involved, then the logic comes in, and then we squash down that gut. And so play with the gut. This is like the most important thing. If you are to ask yes and no questions, have your family, tell all of your friends, be like, hey, I'm experiencing this. Tell all of us in UA, say, ask me yes and no questions. This is who I am. You know, we can create so many cool, fun yes and no questions. And then you can really come back, put a hand on your belly, trust it, come back to the uh-uhs, pets, children, whatever. I walk my dog and I make sure I only use my gruts and my groans. I don't say yes and no. I say and I pull her out of the bushes, you know? And so doing it that way, then I can come back to that. That's a way to strengthen that. And so that's Ra. And so listen to that as Ra. And now I want you to hear the beauty of how Karen is telling you. You want to know your purpose. So my pure generators here, my alchemist. So your spiritual purpose, here's your purpose. This is your life purpose, is to turn inspiration into form. You're the alchemist, right? That's what I said. You're transmuting all of this energy. You're bringing it to the creativity, your beauty, whatever lights your soul. And so your quantum purpose is to physically manifest creativity and express it through devotion. Beautiful. What is making your heart sing? How can you express that? And so the alchemist has the role of turning inspiration into form. The alchemist is here to become the master of self-fulfillment. This is not about being masterful over a job, a skill. Here, right here, Michelle, it's not about what do I need to do. It's about how can you master navigating through life and knowing how to be in alignment, knowing how to learn and then following until one becomes masterful. And so I've been talking so much about consistency, and I feel like we need to change consistency. And that's why when I read it today about our consistency, I'm staying in that alignment. That was our card pull for this, right? And it's not consistency in the way of, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. It's not like the military consistency, right? Doing the same thing every single day. That's the masculine form. This is the same thing. We're looking at how can we learn how to become masterful in ourselves, into listening to that intuition, into bringing ourselves back into that alignment. That's our consistency here now. We need to come back to alignment. We're going to always, it's just like balance. We always are going to go one way. We got to come right back. And so the alchemist has the role in the world to do the work, to build the world. It's vital for the alchemist to have work that feels fulfilling and fulfills a purpose that supports a bigger purpose beyond a job. The alchemist is designed to dance responsibly with life. It's not a job to the alchemist to figure things out, but to engineer the course of life by allowing opportunities and experiences to show up, to follow the ones that feel good. Listen, to follow the ones that feel good, not logic. Feel, gut, hand on your heart, hand on your belly. The alchemist must train themselves to tune into their inner gut, level feeling and what feels right, and follow it, even if it defines the plans that they made in their mind. So do you see the level of that language? Do you see the beauty in that language? But do you see how we need the both? We need to understand that we were put here to, yes, to do the work. We were the worker bees. We kind of need to understand at that level. And then as we work, as we understand our language, as we come into raising our vibration, we can then understand already that ease, that flow. And so those are my pure generators. I want to read about the time benders though, because it's a little bit different. I do want to give you a journal question. So So I love that she gives these questions, and you can reach out if you want all 4 of them. I'm only going to share one of them right now. And so contemplations that you can always ask as being a peer generator. And so how do you experience frustration? And so remember, frustration is your not self. And so that's your yellow light, that something is out of alignment. Something is out of alignment. You need to pause. You need to check in. We need to pause. We need to check in. We need to see, am I forcing it? Am I not listening to my gut? Did the logic come in? And so how do you experience frustration? Where do you feel it in your body? And what is your habit when you feel frustrated? And so that's one perfect question, because not only in order to come into alignment, this is where that law of polarity works out beautifully. In order to come into alignment, we need to know what we feel like out of alignment, right? And so when we can know what we don't like, then we know what we do like. Sometimes it's easier to figure it out that way. And so a beautiful question, a beautiful way to start off. Okay, so then our time benders, our manifesting generators. And so again, like, so we are still, I'm going to say we, I can't help it. It's just natural. And so it's a spiritual purpose is still to be turning inspiration into form. So remember, we still follow the same rules as the generator. We just have a little tweak. We're a little hybrid of the manifestor too. And so the quantum purpose is to physically manifest creativity and speed up the quantum process in linear time. And so that's why, like I said before, we got 20 steps. Maybe we overview all of them. We work through the process ourselves, and then we figure out what steps we have to pull out to make it a faster, make it more efficient. And so the time bender is a hybrid of sorts. It's blending the manifest energy similar to that of the initiator, and then the mastery of the alchemist. And so just like the initiator, which is our manifestors in the quantum language, the time bender has an internal non-verbal creative flow. But unlike the initiator, the time bender cannot initiate. And so this is that level of patience. You have to wait for that inner signal, that response, so that you can, something to respond to, and your gut to say yes, so that you can start. Once you have something to respond to, then you can spring into action. You can speed up time, and the inner alignment will come similar to that of the initiator. The speed of the time bender gives them the role of finding the fastest, easiest way to complete tasks. Like I said, the finding the most efficient way. Just like the alchemist, the time bender experiences the cycles of frustration that indicate change is on the horizon. And so it's really important with all types. When we look at our not self theme and we start experiencing frustration, anger, bitterness, we start feeling that, it's not meant to be like, oh, I'm out of alignment, like I'm gonna just drop everything. I'm not meant to do this. No, it's meant for us to reevaluate. It's not meant for us to give up, but it's really meant for us to reevaluate. And I had a really hard time with this with network marketing, because when I found human design, I was in network marketing and I was really pushing products, and I was listening to everybody. Like I was cold calling like a machine. I dedicated 8 hours of a day. I mean, I would message hundreds of people. I would change my script. I would use a script. I wouldn't use a script. I would do everything. I would follow Ray Higdon. I paid money for all of these groups. And I mean, on a good day, like even if I was just trying to be like, hey, how are you doing today? On a good day, out of 100 to 150 reach outs, I would maybe get 10 to 15 responses. And then finally, when I was like, oh my gosh, okay, that I can't do that. I'm not meant to initiate that conversation. So what did I start doing? I started, when I'm sitting there in my scroll hole on Facebook, I would respond to everybody's post. I am the comment person. If you start looking on your, like if we start becoming friends, I comment on everybody's post. I try to create that conversation, right? I'm trying to respond to something else. Or I also post questions. I'll post simple questions though that will get somebody to respond to me, so then I can respond back, and then maybe I can jump into a messenger and then respond to them in that way. And it's funny because even I do birthday messages, and even when I reach out and do birthday messages, you hardly get responses. And so it's just learning how but for a while I got frustrated. I was like, that's it. I'm giving up on network marketing. I'm a manifesting generator. I'm not meant to initiate. Every single person says, if you don't do reach outs, you'll never be able to make it. And I did. I rid off all of that. And then I did find some jewelry that I'm still affiliated with that I don't have to have that time pressure. I can literally just have customers. I don't have to rush around. I can just wear my stuff. I can share my stuff the natural way that I want to. And I don't have to worry about an end of the month deadline. And by not giving up and changing my perspective, that brought UA to me, because I didn't give up, because somebody else did reach out to me. And again, this is their second time. And then I signed up. And so realizing that's just my experience, but realizing that when we hit these frustrations, when we hit these not self themes, it's not meant for us to throw in the towel. It's really meant for us to relook at our chart, look at our strategies, look at our authority, and be like, okay, how can we get creative? How can we make it in a way that we want to have fun? I love network marketing, sales, direct sales. To me, this is just sharing. This is the opportunity to share who we are, to get to know people, and actually utilize the internet for the power that it is, and being all across the world. And so I loved that, and I knew I wanted that. And now this, and I'm a teacher by trade, like I love sharing. And now finding this education platform and finding people like you, like now it's all coming together. So we don't give up, we reevaluate, we shift, we find that light, we find that fire, and we work through. And so if you're a manifesting generator, your question that you can ask is, how do you manage your energy? Are you getting enough physical activity? Does your body feel like you don't move enough? And this is why I probably do 4 yoga classes a day. This is why I need that yoga in my life. I need to know to shift it, because or else I want to initiate, I want to go make it happen. And that's hard. It's not what we're supposed to be doing. All right, everybody's doing good. I hope. I'm getting a little passionate. I hope I'm not scaring anybody away. All right, so next we're going to jump in on our projectors. And so our projectors are, they're 21%. I said 13. Excuse me. They're going to be our next largest group. And they run very similar to generators in the fact of a little bit about our auras. And so the projector's aura is a focused and absorbing aura. You have a very unique aura. Actually, it says, I'll read directly out of Ra's book. It says, the projectors represent a new energy archetype on the planet that emerged after 1781. Until the advent of the human design system, projectors had no direct means by which to fully comprehend their unique auric field or particular role that they're here to play with the other 4 types. And so it's interesting. It hasn't been until the last century that manifestors and generators dominated positions of leadership and authority around the world. But now, however, the projectors are going to be the one that move up into these positions of power, because as we've put them into a place, as we've understood their auras, understood that they have this incredible gift. And so my dear friend Brandy, I'm going to be speaking to you only because I know that you're my projector on here off of the top of my head, but I do know I saw another chart in here that we do have another projector. But this will happen when the energy types recognize and empower the projector's natural potential. And so talk about patience. Patience is like the thing that you need to harness the most as the projector, because you have the most unique aura and you need to wait for the right people to honor and recognize your gift, and it will happen. And so your strategy is you have to wait for that invitation. You have to trust that by you filling your cup, and now projectors are big on their network. It's all about the people that they're around. And so community, collaboration, so why we pulled that card for you earlier, is so important, because it's by being with these people, then they can recognize and they will ask you, they can see that gift. And when you're squashed down, it's going to be very hard to see it. And so the projectors' focus, probing aura, and complex ways of interacting with people at deeper energetic levels sets them apart from the other types. With natural brilliance and openness to taking on expectations and the energies of others, they have managed to effectively imitate both manifestors and generators, and they end up losing themselves in the process. You have that gift, that power, the energy to create it, to do it. But when you start blending in and mixing in, you're gonna feel that bitterness, and that's when that bitterness is gonna creep in. That because you're like, I'm working just as hard as all of you, but they don't see that gift in you because you're not meant to be with us, and that's okay. Projectors reclaim that self along with their significant and rightful place in the whole begins with the comprehensive look at their unique figuration. So projectors have general openness to life combined with that penetrating aura that absorbs and energetically tastes the energy of others. And so this is like a really, like I said, this is like the kind of shadow side, but his language is meant to have you understand how the things come to you, right? Like to taste the energy, like that. To me, that visualization is like you almost have these little like octopus feelers going out, and you have that power to see the gifts in others. You can, that's what makes you a wonderful administrator. You're the person that's like, oh, okay, I saw this basic skill thing on here, but you obviously are very logical, you're very good in numbers, and you're going to be great over here. And that person would have never in a million years, like a guidance counselor at high school would have probably been your great, like a perfect job, because you could, like, all these kids are coming in, they're telling you all of these random things that they like to do, and then you're thinking in the futuristic way, okay, look at all of these beautiful skills, right? This is how we should be working with the world, not off of a piece of paper on a resume, but rather like, okay, this kid is great at all of these. This is what he loves to do. How can we blend all of this together and give him something to do later in life? And so that's the beauty of the projector, because you have that gift. And so with your capacity to see the big picture, to recognize the talents and the gifts of others and bring people together, you make exceptional advisors, administrators, networkers, and natural mediators. And so you're the gifted organizers, the masters of understanding. But you have to be careful. And this is where that bitterness creeps in about the family. Is like, you have to be careful to not overdo all of it. You have to remember that each individual is on their own life journey. Even if it's our children and you're the mama bird and you want to protect and do all of that, we got to remember sometimes we got to let go of some of the control, and we got to let them stumble a little. We got to let them do that. And so that bitterness doesn't creep in, because when you can kind of let go and understand, okay, remember, they're on their journey. They're on their journey. You're going to make sure that they're doing it in a safe way and whatever, but then let them explore, let them have those lessons, those hits, and then they can come back to you and they can invite you. They can recognize, oh, maybe mom was right. Now, what can she say? What is her gift that she can help me? And so that's Ra's language. But Karen, I love what she says, and I kind of blended it all together. I've been kind of creating my own language, maybe, I don't know, but I've been getting chills at everything I'm saying, so I'm running with it. And so the spiritual purpose, you are here to anchor this energetic template of what we are here to create, to align the energy of the world and to heal the energy of the planet. And right now is such an important time for our projectors, because we are going through this massive shift, right? We're breaking out of the industrial age. We're coming into this more beautiful, the age of the Aquarius, this very feminine. We're breaking out of the masculine structure. And so we are going to see some systems crumbling. Some of us are already experiencing it. This whole pandemic was, it was divinely planned, and it's unfortunate that some people didn't see some of the things, but at the same time, it's not, because it's working out as exactly as it needs to be. But you got to hold our energy template to what's to come and to clear the vibration of the collective consciousness, and which can be a very hard job right now. And so if you're tired understand that that is okay, because you have a big job. Our collective consciousness is expanding, but there's a lot of energy that we're divided right now. And so we have this big divisional gap. We have these beautiful people like us here in the UA that are rising so high. And then we still have the people who are so fearful right now that we're still down here. And so it's tiresome, right? You're kind of trapped in the middle. And that is just on an energetic level that can be very hard to understand. And so give yourself that grace. You're doing a big job on just being the energetic being that you are. And so, like I said, your emotional theme is bitterness, and you're going to feel that bitterness that nobody's appreciating you for the value that you are. And so the orchestrator plays a very special role. They carry the knowledge, the insights, the wisdom of what the potential is and how can we transform it to improve the way we build the world. And so let yourself dream, imagine with the school system, like all of this stuff. Like I was, as an ex-educator, I'm not in the schooling system anymore, but I was really hoping for some more radical change that could have happened as the pandemic happened, but we need the projectors to help improve. The process and the work with the energy intuitively understands how energy and works and flows. You're very intuitive. The awareness gives them insights onto how to translate the energy into the world, the energy of the world into form. The internal energy and the wisdom of the orchestrator is activated through recognition and invitation. They need to be seen and valued in order to be heard, in order to be able to effectively transmit their wisdom. Energy is premium for the orchestrator because they rely on the trajectory of the creative process of others in order to best serve the world. If the orchestrator is not engaging in the right alignment of the creative process, you run the risk of using your own energy to force a project into form. And so this is, again, your network, the people you're around. Who are you around? Who are you spending your most time with? If it's the family, obviously, then that's okay. But then how can we still fill our cup up? How can you take a time where you can get into a group, you can jump on calls, where you can do whatever so that you are not burning yourself out, so that the other adult people maybe can see your recognition and give that to you so you don't become exhausted and bitter. And so, question for you to work on: are you bitter? What do you feel bitter about? What message do you think about bitter, or what message do you think your bitterness is giving you? And so remember, we feel that out of alignment, we know what it feels like, we don't want to feel it, then we can then shift and bring it back into it. And so coming to our manifestors. And I just want you to know, it's really important too, to kind of listen to all of these types, even if it's not yours, but it's beautiful to understand how there are all of these other energies. And if we are dealing with anxiety or feel like we have to do all of it, like we have the weight of the world on our shoulders, if we understand, no, there's like sometimes I get very like, I am not that futuristic person. I am not that projector mindset. And so sometimes it's like I get fearful and we get caught, and that's where my anxiety comes from, of like, okay, how am I going to be able to make this in that future? But then sometimes it's like, no, I just gotta relax. And you know what? I pull projectors to me. I'm dating a projector. Brandy is like, Brandy and I talk every single day, and she's like my bestie, and she's a projector. Like the couple of business people I've started working with have been projectors. And so it's so interesting. I know I'm almost like, I wish Noel will let me know. I'm going to probably have to call him out and ask him, but I'm almost guaranteed positive that Noel is a projector too in the creation of this. If not, I would say maybe he'd be a manifestor in initiating of this. But that insight. And so it is good to listen and to know. And then also, maybe somebody in your household is one of these other types. And so that's the next thing. Once you look at your chart, now you want to go do your whole family's chart. Look at your roommate, who are you spending time with? Because once you understand their energy and you can explain to them your energy, then we can really work in that collaborative life. And that's why I really wanted to share this on the UA, on this platform, because when we can start to release and let go and let things flow and understand that we all are here to do our own little part and to work together, not in a competition. We are here to be collaborative. And so that's why I'm so excited to have this feedback of all of you joining. And so the manifestors. So our manifestors, they're the 10% of the world's population. And now manifestors have a different aura. They are very closed and repelling. So not a lot of people want to really approach a manifestor. They are very independent beings. They are set to do their thing. Their not self theme is anger. And that comes usually a lot because they don't listen to their strategy, which is to inform, which is interesting because you say that they have like this, we say there's a closed aura. And so because people don't want to approach them, it is very important for them to inform what they're doing, because they also need that to inform people so they don't hit this anger, so that they can have us generators, us projectors come help them bring to life what they're trying to manifest. And so, manifestor children, this is so interesting. And I'm only going to stop right now because I saw this in the comment. We have manifestor children. And so I will say something about that because it's going to be very important for you to kind of let them be. And I'm sharing because I'm going to go up and see my nephew, and he's about to turn 1 year old, and he's a manifestor as well. And she's going to teach you some lessons, Michelle, and you got to let them kind of grow. And so, two things in particular that distinguish a manifestor from the other types. The first is that they don't have any sacral definition. And so that's the energy creator, right? And so that's why manifestors need to inform so they can have help from somebody who has that sacral defined, that energy. And then second is that there's either a direct or an indirect between the throat and one of the three, either the heart, the solar plexus, or the root, which is interesting. That's kind of a little, we don't really need to dive too differently into that, but manifestors are very rare. They're only 10%. And so the saga of humankind unfolded as it did because manifestors didn't have to want to wait for the gods or the forces outside them to move into action. Manifestors' exceptional ability to bring into being or make manifest what they envision in combination of protection of their closed aura often place them in positions of rulership, such as the warrior king or the high priest. As the only pure doers among the types, manifestors conquer and defend kingdoms and secure and maintain their power and authority by establishing the laws. And our remaining religious and secular hierarchies are resulted of the manifestors' attempt to retain control and avoid being challenged. Interesting. I haven't read that last part, but I can totally see that and why we kind of want to put those boundaries in there. And so the traditional ruler's role is the manifestor is held for centuries, but then we had that split. So today, manifestors still are the ones that are getting things started, but they need to learn how to work in the yin and the yang. They need to work with that information with the generator dominated environment now. And so instead of dreaming of empires into being or determining the courses of civilization, they are now looking at ways to integrate, right, their independence and their unique essential power to impact a society rather than trying to strip away from the freedom. So we broke out of that. We broke out of that rulership, that dictatorship. And so now it's the manifestor's role is to really inform and say, hey, I see this. They have that futuristic, just like the projectors. They do have that power. That's why they became those rulers. They have that gift. They have that direct connection to their throat, which is what they're going to manifest, but usually their heart or their solar plexus or their root. So that all of those energies is helping them build another foundation. They have that insight. And so they have incredible gifts are their ability to act independently, to initiate action, and then to impact others. But they can be perceived as threatening or unpredictable if they don't share. And so you want to make sure that you are letting people know they're at ease in solitude and they find nourishing peace in manifesting what they want for themselves. And this is very natural. And so if you have children that are manifestors, understand they're going to have this independence. They're going to want to be very independent. Learn to try to give them that little bit of space to have that. But then it also is their job to inform on what you're doing and let them know. And if you're a generator as a parent and they're informing you, how can you respond in a way that maybe they invite you in so you can do it together? Maybe they need your energy to do it. And so kind of going in that way, right? Rather than that kind of control way. And so that's manifestors. Their type is to inform, like I said, to share with what they want to go out to do. And as a parent, and if you do have a child, you want to kind of make sure that when they are informing you, that they're not just doing it as for permission. Because what ends up happening with manifestors later on in life, or why they start rebelling when they're teenagers or stuff like that, is because their childhood, they were saying, I'm going to go do this. And then they were corrected in being like, you didn't ask me. Did you ask me if you could go do this? Did you ask me? Like, stuff like that. And so now understanding who they are, because when you kind of take away their power to initiate and say, this is what I'm going to do, they're informing you. And obviously, yes, if it's not safe, then you obviously have to stop and interject, right? You're the parent, but you have to start to learn with some of that language, because they're informing you, because that's their job, their strategy. And then maybe you work with them on how you want them to inform you. That could be a way, but we don't want to automatically squash it down and make them feel like they have to ask for permission for everything, because then they'll start to never ask for permission for anything, if that makes sense. But the importance of the authority is the mechanical part of their design. It's imposed on them, and it means that it's going to eliminate or elevate the resistance. They have to honor that authority, and it becomes more significant to gain their full expression is to just let people know what they're doing, and being able to share it in that way of an informing way as opposed to an asking way. And so now sharing it in the fact of Karen, and then we're going to jump into our design or our profile. And so the initiator, right? They're the initiator here. And so to translate divine inspiration into action, to initiate people into the frequency of transformation and creativity through the direct access of the quantum pulse. And so their theme is anger. So anger arises. That's when we're going to start seeing that yellow light, like, okay, why am I getting angry? Did I forget am I trying to do this all by myself? Did I forget to inform somebody? Maybe I need a generator there to help me. Maybe I need a little extra energy, and so stopping, pausing, realizing that, yes, you might have the independence that you want to do it by yourself, but you don't have to, that it's meant to bring the people together. So the initiator has a direct nonverbal connection to divine inspiration. When an initiator feels, that's that connection to God's source, and so when the initiator feels the internal alignment and the sense of the right timing for action, the role of the initiator is to follow through on one's inspiration with the matching action. And so if they're not able to follow through with the matching action, or if they're interrupted in that creative flow or forced to stop their creative flow, that's when that anger is going to come out. And so even if you're like, well, you didn't ask me if you could do this, you stopped that action, you stopped that creative process, you stop that, and then you're going to have a temper tantrum. You're going to have that anger coming out. Excuse me. And so anger is that signal that creative flow was blocked. And so meditation and like that divine connection, like they have this connection. They are divinely guided for the most part. If you teach them about their design, if you teach us how to work, and if they learn how to inform, then they are divinely guiding us to where we need to go. And then it's really the projector that needs to be right there next to them to then help get all of us alchemists, all of our time benders, and help spread us out where we need to be, right? And so kind of the initiator, the projectors are kind of start working together here in this new order, this new world. Like, what do we need? The manifestor is going to get that direct download. So maybe it is Noel. Maybe he got that direct download and he's got a projector, friend right hand in hand that's helping the outline outside. And so do you see how powerful, once we can start understanding our energies, how our energies work, but really how we can start to use our energies with the energies of others, and how we can really create this beautiful symbiotic relationship. We really are meant to live in community. I joke and say, like, I really wish that we could go back to the tribal life, the small community, the smaller schools, neighbors help neighbors, we grow food together, all of that. We need to come back down. We can keep all the technology, we can keep all the great stuff, but then we need to come back down, right? And be back together and collaborate and work together hand in hand. And so I'm gonna actually leave it at those. We gotta add the reflectors, because the reflectors are beautiful beings, and they are so special. Okay, so last type is the reflectors, the rarest one. And it's funny, I've actually had the honor to meet a couple different reflectors. And so the interesting thing about a reflector is that they have no defined gates. They are completely open. And so they have a sampling aura. So they go around and they feel just like kind of like how the projectors were very enticing, enveloping, can kind of pull out of stuff. The reflectors kind of have that sampling aura. Their strategy, interestingly enough, is to wait on a lunar cycle. And so because they have no definition in their body, they learn how the energies and how the moon works through all of its gates. That's its consistency. So just like how we learn our consistency through our defined gates, right? The things that are colored in. Well, because they don't have anything colored in or defined, what they learn is how the moon cycle goes through, how they get affected and goes through in this lunar cycle. And so that's their consistency, to learn how the moon affects them. And so their not self theme is disappointment. And so they are 1% of the population. It's easy to tell by a body graph who's a reflector, because like I said, they are all open. And so the reflectors stand alone. They are totally unique in their perspective, quietly unobtrusive in their auric presence, and extraordinary in their role. They are born with special attunement to the cosmic environment and to the impact of the neutrino fields on human beings. So like a canary in the coal mine, they sample, reflect, and judge the quality of the environment on any given day. Reflectors can be so attuned to the transit program that they can also measure others' attunement to it. They sense who's living authentically and who has been conditioned by the transit field and become victim to it. And so that is saying they are the reflector. They are the mirror. They will call you out on your bullshit. They can see, are you being authentic? Are you being your true self? Because when we look at open centers, and we'll talk about this in another live on how we can really learn from other people's open centers. But what an open center really does is it magnifies somebody else's defined center. And so if a reflector is in your vicinity and I have a defined gut, and they know that and say, I'm not listening to my gut, I'm squashing it down, they'll be able to sense that. They'll be able to feel that I'm doing something completely out of alignment. And so and it happens a lot in all of our charts. Like any open center is technically a magnifying glass for the other person. And so there really are mirrors. They're here, just like they said, they can feel the environment. They know if it's good or not. And then they're going to reflect back on how we're doing with this. And so they sense or feel the physical, psychic, or emotional health of an environment, community, or group. And they are here to judge what is working correctly and what is not. As people become awake and aware, reflectors are there, ready to objectively share and reflect what they've sampled. This is how this process is how the reflector moves to the center and becomes visible. And so they're going to be our powerful beings here as we're shifting, right? As we're awakening, they're shining their mirrors at us like, listen, you have a shadow here, but you have the strength. I'm here with you. I'm going to walk with you to shine that light on it and to walk through that, to bring that light out of it. And so beautiful. We need them. There's only 1%, and it's when they are here and they know what they're here to do. The two people I've done their charts, they knew it. They're like, I feel it. I know it. I know that I'm here to ground this energy, to ground this environment, to know which area to go into. And so Karens, they're the reflector, they're actually the calibrator. They're here to be the barometer of alignment with humanity and the heart, to mirror others of the human condition and then also the human potential. And so their emotional theme is disappointment because they see our potential. They can see everybody's potential. And so they give and they give and they give and they give chances and chances because they're like, I know you're so much better than this. And then they get that disappointment, right? They forget that everybody's on their own journey. And we have to let go of that control and let people be who they need to be. And so the calibrator has the role of experiencing in an amplified way through their completely open centers, the potential of what is possible for humanity to be creating and fulfilling. Through their experience of the current levels of fulfillment and the potential of humanity, it then reflects it back into the world. It's the theme of disappointment for the calibrator that has two important sources. First, it's the disappointment of the world around them. And so it could be like their close-knit circle. And then it also has the disappointment of the not true of the collective level. And so it's the collective and then the personal. So they have that double lining, like the personal, not only of themselves, but as a friend, a family, if you have children, anything like that, of that personal level right there. And so being able to, like I said, let go. And so sometimes without a clear understanding of their energy, if calibrators aren't understanding, they'll often merge with others and they struggle to fulfill their own potential. They can then sense that they need and want something different, but then they lose the experience of the energy within the other people because they have all of those open centers. And so then they start to experience that disappointment in themselves. And so disappointment signals that they may not be in the right place with the right people, and then they may need to change their community to reflect different potential for fulfillment. And so it's important to remember that for a reflector, like just because you're there and you're reflecting, we have to remember we cannot do anybody's journey. And this goes for anybody in any way. We can't do anybody's journey for them. It is on them to make the conscious choice. They have free will to live how they want. And so we have to let go of those reins. And so even if you're in this community and you're like, but I feel this potential, it's going to happen. If it's bringing massive disappointment, and if that's all you're feeling, and if you're constantly out of alignment, you have to understand that they need to go on their way and do their lessons and maybe do a little bit more work. And then they might come back to you later or reach out later, but you have to still protect your energy. And that goes for all of us. We all need to protect our energy, and we can only share what we can share. And remember, if they're not willing, if they're not ready, if we're not the right vibration, they're just not going to hear it at that time. But yet again, don't throw in the towel, don't give up. We come back to. And so that was a little bit longer than I was intending for this portion. And I actually think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording and I'm going to kind of stop this here. And I'm going to take it up on a second or another video for going and diving into our profiles. And so thank you so much for hopping on, joining me with this. If you're live, hold on. I can answer your questions. I can do your card pulls. I'm just gonna stop the video. Thank you so much for joining. As always, you can reach out to me. If you follow me on Facebook, I'm not so active on Instagram, but search for me on Facebook, Christine Strong. I do so much human design sharing on there. I go through the daily transits. I jump on live all the time. And then also reach out to me on Telegram, Facebook, however you like to message. send me your charts. You can also join me in my human design group on Telegram too. So send me a message, let me know. Thank you. Thank you.